Love creates the meaning of life. I was only 12 years old, but I already knew what sadness was, and I was terrified of death whenever I thought about my grandfather. He suffered from a disease called emphysema, caused by his smoking habit that began back in high school. It was a terrible illness, one that could destroy a person's entire respiratory system. Since my grandmother passed away, he had been deeply sorrowful and sometimes even angry at life itself. He became irritable and, at times, said hurtful things to good people. Yet, whenever he was with me, it seemed as if all the gentleness within him came to the surface. Recently, he had fallen seriously ill. He had to undergo throat surgery and needed a respirator just to breathe. The doctors said his days were numbered. Miraculously, however, he recovered to the point where he no longer needed the machine to breathe, though he still couldn't speak. The words he tried to say came out only as weak, wheezing sounds. While he was in the hospital, my mother and I went back to visit him. We were afraid it might be the last time we'd ever see him. When the two of us entered his room, I was truly shocked by how sick he looked. He seemed so exhausted, unable to do anything, not even mutter a complaint. And yet somehow, he looked at me and managed to whisper two broken words. Grand, child. What did you say, Grandpa? I whispered back. But he had no strength left to answer me. He had poured every bit of energy he had into those incomplete words. Grand, child. The next morning, my mother and I had to leave. I carried with me a heavy question. What was it that he had tried so hard to say to me? I didn't find out until a week after we returned home. A nurse from the hospital called my family. She passed on the exact words my grandfather had asked her to tell me. Please call my granddaughter and tell her, love. At first, I thought there must have been some mistake. Why would he only say one word, love? Why not say, I love you, my granddaughter? Then suddenly it hit me. I remembered that day in the hospital. What he had tried so desperately to say was, Grandpa loves you. I was deeply moved. My eyes welled up, and soon I burst into tears. After many painful weeks, my grandfather eventually regained his ability to speak. I called him every night. Usually, we could only talk for about 5 minutes before he grew too tired. But before hanging up, he never forgot to tell me, Grandpa loves you, and I would do anything for you. Along with his heartfelt words, you are the only reason I live. These were the most beautiful things anyone had ever said to me. He would never regain his old strength, and I knew our time together was limited. Still, I felt honored that he had chosen me as the person to share his deepest feelings with. I learned many life lessons from that experience. But the most important one was this. Those 3 simple words, Grandpa loves you, may seem small, but in truth they are not simple at all. They are a purpose for living. Shelter of home. My first year in high school was so awkward. Coming from middle school as a class president and a senior student, it felt strange to start over as a newcomer. To make matters worse, my close friends all went to other schools, leaving me completely on my own. Whenever I visited my old teachers, they would advise me to join group activities to meet new friends, and they said I would eventually come to love my new school. Their advice gave me some comfort. One cold, windy Sunday afternoon, I was sitting at my desk doing homework. Mom was adding wood to the fireplace to keep the house warm. My ginger cat lay on top of my books, purring and batting at my pen for fun. He always followed me around. After all, I had saved his life when he was just a tiny kitten. Suddenly, I smelled something strange and noticed smoke seeping through the ceiling beams. It spread so quickly my eyes burned. We rushed for the door, and just as we escaped into the front yard, the entire roof was engulfed in flames. I ran to the neighbor's house to call the fire department while Mom ran back into the house. She quickly came out carrying a metal box of important papers. She placed it on the grass, then, almost frantic, ran back inside again. I knew she couldn't leave behind the photos and letters from Dad, the only things she had left of him. Still, I screamed, "Mom, don't!" I was about to run after her when a large hand stopped me. "Let me go! My mom's in there!" I cried. "She'll be fine. They'll get her out," the firefighter assured me. He wrapped a blanket around me and sat me in the truck while his teammates fought the blaze. A few minutes later, another firefighter guided my mother out. They hurried her to the truck and put an oxygen mask on her face. I rushed to hug her, terrified of losing her. It took 5 hours to put the fire out. The whole house was gone. And then it hit me. My cat! In the chaos, I had completely forgotten about him. Everything had happened at once. The new school, the fire, my cat. I broke down. That night, we weren't allowed back into the house. It was too dangerous. We stayed at my grandparents' place instead. I sat there numb, worrying about my cat, even though we'd lost everything except the clothes on our backs and the blankets from the firefighters. On Monday morning, I went to school wearing the only clothes I had left and my aunt's shoes. I wished I could just stay home. Why didn't Mom understand how embarrassed I felt? I had no books, no backpack. My whole life had been inside that bag. Was I destined to be homeless forever? Maybe. I just wanted to crawl into a hole or disappear. I drifted through school like a ghost. Everything was a blur. My old life, my school, my friends, my home, my cat, was all gone. After class, I walked past what used to be my house and stared at the wreckage. The fire had eaten everything. We had only the photo albums, papers, and a few personal items Mom had risked her life to save. My beloved cat was gone. My heart ached. We had to rent a new place. With no credit cards or documents to withdraw money, we had to borrow from my grandparents. Slowly, the debris was cleared away, but I still wandered past the old house, hoping to see my cat somewhere. I missed him terribly, the way he played with me and climbed onto my skirt. Then, suddenly, everyone at my new school, even the teachers, knew what had happened to me. I felt awkward, like it was somehow my fault. Was this really how I'd become known at my new school? This was not the kind of attention I'd wanted. People who had never spoken to me before now crowded around asking questions. A few weeks ago, I would have been surprised, but now I was numb. And yet, I couldn't stay indifferent when I saw the long table in the gym piled with gifts for me, school supplies, books, clothes, jeans, even nice outfits. It felt like Christmas. I was deeply touched. For a moment, I breathed easier and thought maybe everything would be okay. That day, I started making new friends. A month later, I went back to the old neighborhood where they were rebuilding. This time I went with 2 new friends. I no longer felt insecure. It warmed my heart to open up to the wonderful people around me. Watching the new house take shape, imagining my new bedroom, I realized I was moving on. Suddenly, I heard someone behind me ask, "Is this your cat?" I turned around and couldn't believe my eyes. A woman was holding my cat. Without a second thought, I rushed to take him into my arms. I held him tightly, tears streaming down onto his beautiful ginger fur. He purred happily. My friends came running, hugging me, dancing around us. It turned out my cat had run off in terror when the fire started, fleeing for miles. His collar had our home phone number, but the phone had burned and the line was dead. This kind woman had kept him and worked hard to find me. Somehow she knew how much this cat was loved and missed. Sitting with my friends, my cat curled up in my lap, all my feelings of loss and disaster seemed to shrink. I felt grateful for life, for my new friends, for the kindness of strangers. My cat had come back, and so had I.
That is the end of today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And now, goodbye and see you in the next video. Have a great and joyful day.